Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Buffalo Bills recap, week 5. Buffalo hosted the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football, looking to go 5-0, but they came up short. Moved to 4-1 on the season, and there's a lot to get into on this. I've already recorded this once. I did it immediately, less than 12 hours after the game, and man, there's so much to unpack. And it was as Josh Allen said, man, it was a piss poor performance. Going into the game, you knew it was going to be a tough game. Division games always are, no matter who you're playing. But New England has shown that, I even called them last week, that they can be a pesky team. Heck, even before the season started, within our group here, I even told them, New England's going to be probably the number 2 team in the AFC East this year. And man, they came out and they were ready to play Sunday night. And Buffalo, man, they looked flat. They never got in a rhythm. But yeah, we'll break it down. Buffalo, like I said, falls to 4-1 on the season. They still hold the division lead. They're one game up on the Patriots, who, as of now, hold the tiebreaker. So that game here later in the season when Buffalo goes to Foxborough is going to be pretty much a must-win. For depending on how the rest of the season shakes out. Obviously, if you look at the schedule, Buffalo has a very favorable schedule. So you would hope that loss on Sunday night wouldn't be a big factor going down the stretch there. But you never know. This NFL season has been absolutely wild through 5 weeks. You would have never thought that the Baltimore Ravens would have one win. The Chiefs would be third in their division. It's been a wacky first month plus to the NFL season. So anything can happen for sure. But yeah, just to touch on it, I'm gonna give my opinions and my thoughts on pretty much all 3 phases of Buffalo Bills football right now. We can start with, I guess we'll start with the offense. Up until this game, Buffalo had scored a touchdown on every opening drive of the season. They looked poised to potentially keep that streak alive on Sunday night. They were moving the ball down the field pretty good. Josh was able to convert some third downs, and they get down on the New England side of the field, and they try this really weird end around play to where Dawson Knox was going to receive the handoff, and just is a bad exchange. It looks like it almost looks like Knox just wasn't ready for it, and Josh kind of left it there for him to grab, and it just landed on the ground. New England recovered. It was a very weird play call, especially in that situation. You're moving the ball down the field and have a chance to take an early lead against a division rival at home in prime time. That was just a very head scratching play call to me. But they were just kind of out of sync all night. And Sean McDermott even touched on it, in his post-game presser. He thought that the offensive play calling was just too cute. And, it's almost like Joe Brady pulled a Ken Dorsey, kind of like he overcorrected what he did the week before. If you had watched last week's video, I was real critical of how it seemed like they put the handcuffs on Josh in the Saints game, and we're kind of just constraining him to just these little 5 to 8 yard passes, and the quick screens, and it seemed like they had the handcuffs on him last week, and then they come out this week, and it's like they were really throw heavy to start the game, and it was really head scratching. But not only the throwing heavy, but the play calls that go with it. I mean, we just talked about the Dawson Knox end around, but I mean, just some of the play calls. I mean, I believe it was I think it was still in the first quarter. It was second down, and Josh tries this. It's almost like the play you would draw up when you're, on like the 5-yard line, like the back corner fade. You try and, get the ball up there for your receiver to get, and beat the defender. But Josh was throwing that same type pass. I mean, like, if you go back and watch it, it's like he took the ball from the shotgun. He took like one step back and then just kind of threw like this little back shoulder type fade. But he threw it like, 20 yards down the field towards the sideline. And it's just, it was just a strange play call on second down. Obviously, it goes incomplete. It was to Coleman. And so then you got third down, and I believe it was long. They do the exact same play just on the other side of the field. Like they flipped it. Like in Madden, you hit the R2 button, flips the play. Like that's all. It's like that's all they did. And it was the same play to Coleman, except on the left side of the field, and it was incomplete again. And then the Buffalo has to punt. Like it was just head scratching, man. Like I don't know what the thought process there was. And it was kind of like that throughout the game. Like just really weird calls. And then it's like once, James Cook wasn't able to get in a rhythm, it's like they panicked like they did when Ken Dorsey was here. And it's like, just Josh has got to throw it. Josh has got to be, do everything. And that's just that you're not going to win football games like that, man. Buffalo's recipe for success has been to rely on James Cook, and then that gets the defenses normally out of cover too. And that's normally when Josh is unleashed, so to speak. And that's when you see him just come in and pick these defenses apart. And when you don't establish the run or stick to your running game, the defenses can just sit back there. And I mean, it gave Josh fits. He was definitely out of sync, out of sorts. I mean, you saw it I think it was the third quarter. Buffalo again was on the New England side of the field, maybe on the 30 or so, and he forces a ball into a very tight window that wasn't there. He gets picked off. And that's not how the Bills were built last year, and that's not what's been successful for them. And it works for other teams in the sense of other teams, have wide receivers that can create separation, can beat their man and give their quarterback, a lane or an option to throw to. Buffalo doesn't have that. They haven't had that since Diggs left. And we'll get into Diggs here in a minute, but they had this mentality last year of everybody eats in this offense. And that was kind of to me, that was almost like a Band-Aid on, Brandon Beane and the cap space where it was, they couldn't go and they couldn't get this star wide receiver for Josh. So it was going to be, well, we got what we got. Everybody's going to get the ball. We're going to spread it around. And that's all fine and well. And like I said, especially when James Cook is able to establish the run and it frees things up, sure. But when a defense is able to shut Cook down and you have to rely on these mediocre wide receivers, I mean, that's all Buffalo has is a mix of wide receiver 2s and 3s. When you rely on them to create separation, it's not there for Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's leading receiver was Dalton Kincaid, tight end. He was the only guy that seemed to be able to find soft spots and get open. And then later, in the second half, they kind of went away from him. And I don't think it was because New England took them away. I just think it was they changed their game plan at halftime. But I mean, that's a huge area of concern for me, because that's I mean, if other defenses are able to shut down James Cook, then Buffalo's very beatable on offense. No matter how great Josh Allen is, he's not. He can't be the other 10 guys at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like, with the trade deadline coming up, man, Buffalo has a lot of areas of concern, but Brandon Beane has got to go out and get a guy that can catch the ball and create separation. You know, they drafted Keon Coleman to be kind of the next Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, and up until this point, in my opinion, it's been a disappointment. I mean, he dealt with injuries last year. I get that, but I mean, heck, even Sunday night alone, he was benched for the first series on offense because of coaches' disciplinary issues. And obviously we'll never know what happened, but that's not the first time that he's missed playing time because, you know, of disciplinary stuff. And this is the guy that you drafted to be your next big wide receiver. And I mean, shoot, even in this game, besides missing the first series of the game, he had a huge fumble. And so, I mean, if I'm Brandon Beane, I feel like Buffalo's only area that they're going to address at the trade deadline is going to be wide receiver, because they spent all offseason working on the defense, and we're getting ready to touch on the defense. But yeah, he's got to do something, man. He cannot. The Bills cannot. They can't be successful under the format they're currently in. Sure, they'll get by and they'll beat these bottom feeder teams, you know. And if you look at the schedule coming up, they have Atlanta, and then they have Carolina with a bye mixed in there too. So it's like they have 2 games coming up that they should be able to win. And maybe it's a good time to, you know, right some things that have been going on. But yeah, Buffalo, they have areas of concern on offense, and it seems to be the same thing every season. It's a guy, just a playmaker outside Josh Allen and James Cook. And you know, if I know they're in a tight cap space, but you know, we also have a guy in Dawson Knox that Buffalo extended a few seasons ago, and he has done absolutely zero. I mean, shoot, they went out and drafted Dalton Kincaid, for goodness sake, like, and he eats up a ton of cap. So I mean, if there's a trade piece that, you know, you can use him for, you know, that might be a win-win. You know, a guy that I've heard rumored to Buffalo, you know, on all the social media, you know, forums and whatnot, would be Chris Olave. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of Saints football other than last week when they played Buffalo, so I couldn't tell you if that's worth the squeeze on him. But you know, I guess we'll wait and see on that front. But the last thing I'll say about the offense was, it did seem like Sunday night, whenever they started to get into a little bit of a rhythm, they were able to convert some third downs, move the chains. The play would get called back for a penalty, and it seemed like, even though Buffalo was having a whiteout on Sunday night, it seemed like it was a yellow out. I mean, not to be corny, but I mean, Hockley's team was just throwing flags left and right. And yes, you know, it was for both sides, but man, Buffalo, some of them, sure, you can question them, but they really shot themselves in the foot. Killed all momentum that, you know, any drive started to build, would set themselves back. And you know, you're not going to win many football games with 3 turnovers and a crap load of penalties. So the fact that they only lost by 3 points, and it came on basically a last-second field goal, is wild, and it shows how good this team can be. But yeah, that's just not a recipe for success on offense. Defensive side of the ball. This is the biggest just head scratcher of a roster on defense, man. Buffalo, we're one of the few teams left in the NFL whose head coach was a defensive coordinator or is defensive minded. And for like the fourth straight year, our defense is just dog water, man. Like they're bad. And again, I know it's the cap space, man, but you go out and you sign Tre'Davious White in the offseason, and everybody in Buffalo loves it because everybody loves Trey, and he was such a personality when he was in Buffalo. And yes, he was a great player. He was a Pro Bowler. I believe he was even an All-Pro. But man, just injuries derailed him, and that's why Buffalo moved on from him, a couple seasons ago. And they bring him back. He's healthy, gets tweaked up or banged up a little bit in training camp, misses, I think, week 1, but ever since he's been back playing, he's been a liability, man. This is where you can touch on Diggs. Diggs ate his lunch all night long, man. Almost 140 yards receiving, and it was almost all on Trey. It was rough watching him. Shoot, the New Orleans game, they even pulled him off the field because of his play, and it didn't get any better, in a week's time. So, then opposite of him, you got Christian Benford, who's our, supposed to be our number one guy back there, just got a big contract extension this offseason. He didn't look very good. Our linebacking core, man, as much as we love Matt Milano, and I was happy he was back, man, he had a bad game. He re-injured his pec, so who knows when he'll play again. For as great of a player as Milano is, man, he's turned into Joe Burrow almost. Like he can't stay healthy. And then the guys that they have opposite of Milano, man, they're a bunch of practice squad guys that they're hoping will rise to the occasion. Just yesterday, I'm recording this on a Tuesday, they brought back Balen Spector to the practice squad, a guy that Buffalo drafted, but he's been a bench to practice squad guy his whole career. Like, what are we doing? And Buffalo, I know we're getting ready to get a couple guys back, for up front. Eventually Ed Oliver's going to come back. His whole foot situation's just very strange, man. Buffalo hasn't, I guess he got stepped on by one of his teammates in practice after week 1, and he hasn't been back since. Nobody's, it's been like hush-hush around One Bills Drive about, what exactly the extent of his ankle injury was, but he's been MIA, hurt. And we have, I can't remember the guys' names off the top of my head, but the 2 free agents we just signed this offseason who missed time because they were suspended the first 5-6 games. They're getting ready to be eligible to come back. So assuming they're able to do something, maybe we have some help coming on the D line, but we have hardly any pass rush right now. Yes, they got to Drake May a couple times Sunday night, but when they don't get home, you're relying on the secondary, and the secondary is just terrible, man. And our safeties are terrible. I've talked about them in length on other videos. Buffalo's defense is it's bad, and the fact that they held the Patriots just 23 points is it's kind of impressive. But at the same time, man, it's just, this is not a Super Bowl winning defense at all. Like I said, I don't think Buffalo does anything defensive wise, around the trade deadline, just because they spent all offseason working on the defense. They went defensive heavy in the draft. We got Maxwell Harrison coming back, our rookie first round pick. he's supposed to be coming back fairly soon. I know he's eligible to return. He's still working his way back from his injury in training camp, but how good is he going to be when he comes back? He's a rookie. Like, are you really going to rely on a rookie to come in and be the savior in the secondary? Like, there's a lot of big question marks on a team that has Super Bowl aspirations this year, and in a year that the NFL really doesn't have like that juggernaut of a team. Like, Philadelphia looked to be it, and then they just lost to Denver. Everybody thought it was Buffalo, and then Buffalo comes out and just falls on their face against New England. Kansas City's 2-3, Baltimore's 1-4. Like, it's wide open this season. If there was ever a time for Buffalo to win the damn Super Bowl, it's this season. And here we are again with this same, just goodwill, pieced together defense, and it's frustrating as hell, man. Just because, you're wasting Josh Allen. I mean, you have an absolute unicorn for a quarterback, and he's in year 8 already. I mean, you're wasting the guy's prime, and at some point there's got to be a conversation about what needs to change. I mean, to me, I've done this comparison before. To me, Sean McDermott's kind of like Marty Schottenheimer. He's a great coach. He'll get you to the postseason, but he can't get you over that hump. Or Marv Lewis, or it's frustrating, man. Just because this team has such capabilities, and they kind of just screw themselves in a way. But I mean, I could talk about the defense longer, but we're already at 22 minutes in this video, so I'll move on to special teams. Special teams, that they're the worst of the three faces on the Bills right now. Their kick coverage is terrible. Their return game is just mediocre at best, and I mean, we're on our third or fourth punter through 5 games. Like, and who knows what we're gonna do with the kicker position. I mean, Bass is eligible to come back, but I mean, for as money as Prater's been, I mean, do you put Bass back in there, or do you keep Matt Prater in there? Like, to me, you keep Bass on the sidelines, because he's shown time and time again in big moments that he's not reliable. Sure, he's made kicks in his career, but I would not trust him, especially coming off an injury. Didn't have hardly any time in training camp. So yeah, special teams is bad, man. And that's just, luckily it hasn't bit us too bad, but it does seem, if you go back and watch, it does seem like the other teams that Buffalo has played so far, they have started with very, very good start and field position, man. Like, they start inside the 30, it seems like, every drive. So I'll keep that short, just because there's not a whole lot to dissect there. I'll touch on Diggs just for a second, just because I don't want to talk about him too long. But after the game, he's being interviewed, and he was asked, was this game personal to you? And he said 100%. And to me, like, he's just, no, dude, no. How is it personal to you? You were embraced by Buffalo. The fans loved you. The city loved you. And when things started to not go your way, you weren't force-fed the ball every week. You turned back into the Diva Diggs that everybody saw in Minnesota. You forced your way out of Buffalo. You requested the trade. Buffalo honored it and traded you. So don't come back here, have a good game, which credit to him, he had a great game. But don't afterwards say, oh, it was personal. Because it's not personal. You made it personal. Buffalo gave you the contract and had everything set up for you to retire a Bill. Your name probably would have ended up retired. Number and name would have been retired and probably put up on the wall at some point for how good he is. So don't come with that energy that, oh, it was personal, because Buffalo loved you, dude. Like, it was, you can go and look at old pictures, man. It was, Josh and Diggs were the next Kelly and Reed. And there were signs everywhere, Allen and Diggs for president, all that. Like, Buffalo loved you, dude. So don't come with that energy, because that is so misplaced. I mean, congratulations, you won the game. You had a good game. Take that and move on. Like, quit trying to be the victim in all this, man, because you're not. And to New England fans, just be careful. He'll love you now. Just make sure you're still feeding him the ball, because once you quit, you're gonna get the diva. Just as Minnesota, just as Buffalo. It's in there. So keep him happy, and you'll have a good player. But once defenses figure out your game plan and take him away, just be prepared. That's all I'm gonna say on that. I think I've pretty much beat this horse to death already. Like I said, Buffalo plays Atlanta Monday Night Football in Atlanta. Buffalo needs a bounce back game. You don't know what you're going to get. Michael Penix, you don't know what you're going to get with him. He could have the game of his life, and against this Bills defense, it may happen. The Bills defense may show up, and I can tell you Josh Allen was pissed after the game. So if there's anybody that's going to rally his team, it's Josh Allen. So I would expect Buffalo to come into Atlanta and show everybody why they deserve to be the number one seed in the AFC. But we will see. Time will tell. So I'm out of words. We'll move on to week 6 and hope for the best. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you made it to the end of the video, congratulations. You've listened to me talk more than my kids do. So we will see y'all next week. Go Bills.